Hello everyone, today I want to show you how to set up custom cameras in X-Plane 12 or just X-Plane in general. I use a little software called X Camera. It is free, but there's also a registered feature for like $18 that gives you more features. But basically it gives you this menu and then a menu below where you hover down and you can go through all your camera views or even set them up for different buttons. And I usually like to, it starts you with the captain side. I usually like to start right there and get the roll just the way I want. You can control it with these numbers here. You can just kind of drag through that box and it'll give you the movement you're trying to do. You can also use the arrow keys, or you can click the buttons where it says, you know, like back, down, up, and all that. You can click them or do that. And I like to get my zoom right and the roll right to begin with. And then you have the advanced camera options where you can set like the free camera, the external camera. I like to enable the set initial zoom is an important one, because I think zoom is really an important piece of setting up these camera angles. You just uncheck that and then check it again, and it'll save the zoom you're currently at. I also like to check cinema verite, and that kind of is supposed to add like head movement or like, you know, the kind of camera shake, but it doesn't seem to work anymore. But I use track IR anyway, so it works that way for me. Then we just go down the line. I'm going to set up a first officer side now and click OK. I just like to copy the captain one and then go to the first officer, move it in position where I want it, since the captain side is already set up the way I need it, and then you just hit save. You got to hit save every time you do this. If you forget, it'll like revert back to the other one. But now you can see we click captain, first officer, and we have it set up. Next, I'd like to come in and do the glare shield, so we can move forward. You don't have to make a new one just yet. Just don't hit save. You can position it into this spot and then copy it, and the copy will be where you have it set up, but it won't overwrite the one you're currently on unless you hit save. So if I want my glare shield just about there, I'll go ahead and copy. Well, it says add to end, but you're really making a copy. And you see what I mean? The first officer reverted back, and now this one stayed. So we're going to call it glare shield. Hit OK. Set the initial zoom. It's pretty much the same. It didn't change. Save. Now we got captain, first officer, glare shield. And next I would come down and go do the FMC, because that's always nice to have a nice camera that's zoomed in on that when you're programming it, so you don't have to, you know, manually zoom in and position it every time. So we've made a copy. We're going to call it FMC, hit OK, and now we're on the FMC camera and we're going to move it in place. So I'm just moving up. I'm going to move down a little bit. And at this point, accidentally hit center, which does center the camera like on the axis. Move it forward. Pretty much once it's right over it, then we'll just use zoom the rest of the way. Get it nice and centered off. And for this one, we have to make sure we initial zoom set is done. So you uncheck it, check it, gives you that new zoom value, save it. And then you have that zoom saved. There we go. We've got our first 4. Next one we'll do is the overhead panel. That's another good one to have saved. Now these you can also load in other people's. There's just so many of them, and they're always, I don't know, I like doing my own. I feel like the other ones that are set up are just typically not complete with what I want, or they have so many cameras. I like to keep it somewhat simple. So back it out just a bit. Get it all centered off where we need it. Back a little more. Uncheck initial zoom. Check it again. It's not letting us check it because I guess we didn't do a zoom. There, we zoom in a little bit. Maybe now it'll hold it. Back. There, it's holding a slight zoom. So there we go. FMC overhead. Let's go through them all. And that's generally all I do is for those. We can do one more of Maybe this is just the center panel where we have our radios and everything. Hit OK. And now let's position it here. Check our zoom and save. All right, now we have a complete set for the cockpit, I think. FMC overhead, center panel. So the other nice thing we can do is we could go through and set up another category. Instead of setting up all our views on one category, we can now set up another category. So let's go ahead and copy it, and or add a new one, I mean, and then we'll call this one wing views, and then we'll go back to the cabin and set up some different views of the wings. So we're here at camera 1, and we'll start moving to the back. Now, the increment speed you can increase. Right now we have it set to medium, and I feel like, you know, we'll probably want to set it to large to just move a lot faster back to the windows. I'm just using the right arrow key right now with the camera pan to the side. I found that that's the easiest, is get the camera pan to the side so you can see out the windows, and then just start moving down. And once you find a window you like, you can go back to medium to make the increments a little smaller so you can really get it positioned where you need it to be. And I like to back it up from the window a little bit and really show most of the, like, I like to show a little bit of the window frame, and then I also zoom in. I think, again, like I said, zoom is really crucial to some of these camera views to have them look good. Because if you don't mess with that, everything looks like it's just fisheyed and just super wide, and it ends up, I think, distorting the actual view of how it should look. So we'll, I got this one in the position I like. We'll call it engine, or right engine front, and we'll save that. And just like we did, oh yeah, let's just check the zoom, and then save that one, and then we'll make a new one, and we'll go to the left side, just like we did when we went from the captain's side to the first officer side. We'll just move it right over to the other window and get a view looking out that side. There's Austin giving the okay. Okay, I think we're almost at the seat. Yep. Let's move it over there, frame it up pretty much the same way. You got to work your way around the seats. You know, you kind of go through the seats sometimes. All right, put it right about there. Zoom in. Move it down a little. And leave it right about there. Now add a new one. Again, it didn't affect our right engine. And we'll call it the same thing, just with left on there. Copy them. You can copy and then paste it. That's the easiest way. Change it over to the left. Hit OK. Check the zoom. Zoom didn't change really. And we'll save. Now we got the right. Now we got the left. Now we're going to go further back. I usually like to set up 3 of these. One that's more up front, one kind of in the middle of the wing, and then one that's a little more in the back, like towards the back lavatories somewhat. So we're making a new one called left wing, and since we're on the left side, we'll just start there before we move over to the right. We'll go over to large increments so we can get back there faster. And I'm looking for a wing view about right here. Going back to medium movement increment to fine tune it. Panning around with the scroll wheel. I don't know if I mentioned that part yet, but yeah, the scroll is done with the wheel. You can change all these things too. There's a control menu for all of this to map whatever you please. Put it right about there. That looks pretty good. Check our zoom, save all cameras. Now we have a left wing. I will make a new one. And this will be the right wing. Hit OK. And let's move back to large increments. Get us over there nice and quick. Back to medium. Find our spot. I mean, you know, this takes generally, I'd say, about 15 minutes to fully set up in the way I'm doing it. But once you do, it's really worth it to have this. And if you ever do an update of the Zibo or any aircraft, you might lose these if it's a full replace of the aircraft. So just make sure you save this config file. There will be a config file for each aircraft. And there we go. We have some nice looking wing views now. We're going to do one more. We'll start on the right side since we're already over there. And we'll do one that's just a little bit further back, looking at the back of the wing. This is really what I like to do for each aircraft, especially the airliners. GA, you maybe need a little bit less. There's less kind of to look at. It's not as long of an aircraft, but just about this far back is what I would do. You can go further back too. I mean, you can really set these up whatever way you want. I'm just trying to show you, kind of my philosophy to doing it all. It's all about how you frame it up too. Any of you with a photography background, you'll be pretty good at doing it. All right, we got the right wing. Check the zoom, save it, and there we go. Let's go make a left side now. Left wing back. Okay. Switch our increment back to large. Back to medium, and frame it up. Right there is pretty good. Get our zoom saved, and save all cameras. And now we have a nice set of wing views. You can also move these around. If you click them and you drag, you can organize them in the list, which is also nice. So I'm going to organize on my right side of the aircraft and then the left side of the aircraft. And there we go, just like that. So let's set up, well, first let's take a look. We got our cockpit, we got our wing views and those lists. We're going to build one more category. It'll be the outside of the airplane, because those are always good to have too. I have a bunch of different external views set up. So we'll call that category outside view. We're back at camera 1. And I'm going to set enable X camera and then also free camera to just let us do whatever we want. I think external camera does cap you at a certain distance, but the free camera doesn't. But right now, I guess we're going to keep it kind of close so we can just roll with the external camera. So let's move our way down. We are on the large increment. You may want to move up to very large at times when you're outside, because when you're outside the aircraft, it tends to seem like it's moving a little slower. It's just because you're trying to cover more ground. But I like to get as low as I can. We'll do like a nose camera here. And again, zoom is really key to all this. The roll is kind of off, so we can set that. Level out the horizon just a little bit. I like to back up quite a bit too with the external stuff so you can really get a nice zoom. It just kind of makes the aircraft look more full and big, and I like that. You can overdo it too, I suppose, so kind of try to find a balance between the two. And we'll call this one front view. Hit OK. Got our zoom updated, and we'll save. Now we can make a new one. Oh, it looks like it didn't save the zoom. And that's what I'm talking about. When you don't save the zoom, it'll just go back to the other one. So let's try that again on the front view. Scrolling up right now to zoom. Keep it about there. Set initial zoom. 345. Okay, now we got it saved for that. All right, back to our copy. We'll go move it. Well, actually, let's delete that one and put a new one. There we go. Just easier to do it that way. Let's go do a view looking at the engine from the outside. Again, there's no limit to how many of these you can set up. You can have as many categories as you want, as many camera views as you want. It's really a nice tool to have. Kind of reminds me of Chase Plane on Prepared, but a little bit less options, but it's still a really good camera tool. So we'll call this one left engine view. Hit OK there. Somehow we didn't. Somehow it didn't save where we framed it. That's kind of weird. Maybe it was the zoom again. Maybe I forgot to hit that. But yeah, that's what happens when you don't do it. Front view, left view. There we go. Now they're saved. Let's make another one. We'll do the same view, but on the right side. So we'll call this one right engine view. Moving on down. Initial zoom updated, save, engine, right engine. Okay, that's looking good. We'll make another one. We'll go towards the back of the aircraft. Then we can do some above. We'll call this one APU, and we'll just have a view kind of looking at the APU from ground level. So I'm moving with the arrow keys right now and using the mouse scroll button to pan around. Zooming in right now with the scroll wheel, framing up the plane. We'll get the engine in there. And the APU, want to show the ground too. I like that one. Update the zoom. Call this APU right side because we are kind of looking at the right. Can also do one on the left. All right, those have saved. I also forgot to mention the retain mouse look position button is kind of important too, because that's going to retain where you have positioned the camera with the mouse look. So that's kind of key if you don't have that checked. Okay, we have APU view left set up. Let's move it over to the left. Updating the zoom, hitting save. And now we got those views. Now we can do some from above. Add a new one. call this one like aft top view. Zooming out now with the scroll wheel. And moving up with the arrow key. Updating the zoom and saving. We'll make another one. We'll do another one that's above. Call it front top view. Pretty self-explanatory what we'll do. We'll just move it up to the front. We're gonna go to the very large increment to move it quick. Don't have all day to be scrolling around. Get it right where we need it. Like I said, the very large increment movement helps out a lot when you're outside of the aircraft. I like that one. Check the zoom, save all. Cool. Let's go do one on the other side. And then I think that'll be it for now. You may also want to set these up when you're actually flying too. Set up some external cameras, like maybe once you're at cruise, find some positions you like. I mean, they'll pretty much look like this, but certain things may change. You may want to position it so you can see more of the sky or the horizon, so that's something to consider later. There's our new one. Just want to zoom in a little bit. Keep it real tight on the plane. Updating the zoom. Call this one front top view 2. Okay. Save all cameras. And that's really all I want to do. I think 3 categories is good. So we have all these cameras set up for cockpit now. We have all the wing views that I want. And then we have our outside views, which we just took a look at. So that's really it for X camera. If you want to scroll down or move your mouse to the bottom, you can also access them here, which is kind of useful. You have the categories in yellow, and then you have in pink the different camera views. And remember, you can also map these to buttons in the settings. This is where you can create, not this one, I want to show you under File is where you can, this is where you can enable Track IR. You just check that box when you're starting to use it. This is where you can set up a new camera file if you wanted. You can save them, you can run, you can share this one with the community, and then you can also browse community aircraft files as well. I mean, if you wanted this one, I could even share it with you. If you wanted this exact one I've set up, so you don't have to do it. Yeah, I don't know. That cinema button doesn't seem to do any more movement, but if you have Track IR, you can do your own camera movement for sure. There we go. Those are all looking good. I'm trying to think of anything else I can show you before we get out of here. Oh, one is like the mouse panning right now. I'm doing that. So you hold down the scroll wheel and then you move the mouse. And that's one way you can pan around. But you can also smooth that out. You can speed it up and you can also make it slower. So if we come over to the settings, pan speed in degrees, you can change those numbers. You just have to double click and then it'll let you get in there and change it. So lots of options. You just got to look through it and you know, really figure out what you want to do. Head track smoothing, the mouse smoothing factor, the pan smoothing. Lots of options to make it as fast or as slow and as smooth as you would like to. It's like if we set it to 2, you can tell it's just a little bit slower. And that may be what you want. I like it slower. I think when it's too fast, it can kind of get kind of more unrealistic for like a camera panning around, but 5 is okay. 2 is nice though. But yeah, you guys can edit all this stuff. Let's see what this one does. The view axis smoothing factor. That may not be actually anything we're looking at right now, so I'm not sure. We'll go ahead and save those settings. But that is X camera, and this is how I would set up my views for an aircraft like the Zibo 737. Hope this was helpful. It's been helpful for me over the years, especially making content and really needing to show different things on replay and during the flight, or even live streams too. I mean, you want to have those different views changing, and you want, you know, your audience to see different things. They don't need to just see you in the flight deck the whole time. But okay, everybody, if you have any questions, just let me know. Again, I hope this was helpful, and have fun with it. You guys take care. See you next time.